Coming up on First at 5, a national nonprofit helping children in North Central Florida. The discovery that led a Florida mother to act after the death of her son.
Plus, funding to help Vanguard High School get what school leaders say are much needed improvements.
And ahead of the weekend, clouds are rolling in. We're tracking the expected storms for you, your UF weather forecast, and more coming up. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
The Gainesville Police Department teamed up with a local organization to comfort children during an emergency. This is First at 5. I'm Caitlyn Schiffer.
And I'm Jacob Sedesse. It's all in honor of a Florida boy who died after a plane crashed into the car he was in. WFT's Juan Chaoui is live at GPD headquarters where the teddy bear drop took place. Juan, this is an event officers say they plan to continue.
Today, Taylor's Teddy Bears, a nonprofit organization, held an event in honor of Taylor Bishop. Bishop was killed when a plane crashed into the car carrying him and his mother in South Florida. Since then, Megan Bishop has worked to keep her son's memory alive. She founded Taylor's Teddy Bears after discovering her son's teddy bear was left unscathed after the accident. During today's Teddy Bear Drop event at GPD, Megan shared her story and her memory of Taylor. With the help of the UF National Student Speech Language Hearing Association, over 50 teddy bears have been donated to GPD. Megan says she wants to help comfort children throughout the community.
The teddy bears are just so important because I know that when I had my son, he had such a bond with his teddy bear. It was with him all the time, and it brought him so much comfort, and now it's comforting me. So I just want these bears to comfort children in distress.
This is the second time Megan has held this event in Gainesville. She hopes to come again next year, even more teddy bears for the community. In response to Megan's donations and message, police officers plan to carry these teddy bears with them to scenes involving children to help comfort them. Live from GPD, Juan Chaoui, WUFT News.
A Gainesville man is dead and another is behind bars after a fight near Tom Petty Park. Gainesville police say they've arrested 33-year-old Romanda Thompson and charged him with murder. Law enforcement received a call yesterday morning reporting a dead man laid out on a patch of grass on 16th Avenue by the park. Detectives later found surveillance footage showing the scuffle that led to the murder. Thompson is in custody at the Gainesville Police Department as officers continue investigating. And in Marion County, a man is behind bars after a breakthrough in a long-time murder investigation. 38-year-old Joseph Edward Horais is facing charges of first-degree murder after officials say he shot 55-year-old Darius Jones in 2023. Officials say Jones was the first found shot dead in his home back in September after the two argued in his car. The arrest comes after detectives found shell casings in Horais' home that matched those of the gun used to Jones. Horais is being held without bond in the Marion County Jail.
Lake City firefighters are mourning the loss of a first responder. Dwight Boozer passed early last night at the age of 57 after a 5-month battle with colon cancer. Boozer served the Lake City Fire Department for 33 years and was the assistant chief for the past 2. Current Fire Chief Josh Wanger is asking for community support for Boozer's family during this time. And it's shaping up to be a rainy weekend. Our UF weather meteorologists are tracking this front that they say will bring storms starting tomorrow. Now, this will all begin a pattern of wet weather we'll see around North Central Florida for most of next week. We're turning now to UF forecaster A.G. Cornell, who's timing out when we will start to see the rainfall in our area.
So we are looking at some storms that are going to start tomorrow, but they're not quite here yet. When we take a look at our campus camera, we can see cloudy skies above campus. Temperatures are mild, 63 degrees. Now they're cooler today than they have been in the last couple days, and that's because of a cold front that came through last night. Now, not only did cold weather come through last night, we also saw an increase in winds. We're seeing winds 12 miles per hour here in Gainesville, 37 miles per hour out in St. Augustine. It's going to be a very windy day. Now, as we get into the rest of the evening, we're going to see temperatures dipping as they so often do after sunset. It's going to be a breezy evening, and we're going to stay cloudy but pretty dry as we go into the tomorrow morning. I'll have more after the break.
National investigators say they finally cracked a case on an Alachua County street gang. Officers sentenced the last of 12 defendants in the 4K Alachua street gang on drug and firearm charges. FBI, Alachua County Sheriff's Office, and Alachua police investigators worked together to investigate a string of gang-related shootings in 2018. Over the past 6 years, law enforcement arrested more than a dozen people in connection to the gang and its associates.
Law enforcement officers around North Central Florida are mourning the loss of yet another K-9 officer. Alachua police officials announced the death of Simba last night after a battle with cancer. Friends and family gathered to remember the companion at the wishes of his handler, Officer Vargas. They say they're remembering him for his loyalty and dedication and thank neighbors for their support through his battle. K-9 officer Leo was killed in the line of duty in Marion County last week. His memorial service is scheduled for Monday.
A dog and its former owner shared a tearful reunion in Marion County after a 12-year separation. Earlier this month, Marion County Animal Services rescued Bo, along with 52 other dogs from deplorable conditions in Ocala. Law enforcement scanned each dog for microchips when they came in, and through this intake procedure, officials were able to locate Bo's former foster owner. Volunteer Gene Rivera fostered Bo back in 2012, and Pasco County records matched the microchip serial number. Bo's now home with Rivera and his new family. And at the start of February, more than 50 dogs were found in dirty and uninhabitable conditions in Ocala, including Bo. One dog had passed away while the others had their own waste caked to their fur and were confined to their crates. Marion County Animal Services intervened to nurse the dogs back to health. The animal shelter says 36 of the dogs have been adopted, while 17 others still need homes.
Well, Vanguard High School was built in 1969. It's had little change since then. In fact, it doesn't even have an elevator. WFT's Cassie DesVergers joins us in the studio to tell us it's not going to be the case for the Marion County School much longer.
Vanguard High was recently awarded a significant amount of money for overhauls. Approximately $706,474 is going to one major upgrade that's making the American Disabilities Project Director for the Southeast smile. Standing 2 stories tall, Building 4 at Vanguard High School is inaccessible to many. Vanguard High School senior Diva Nander says when a student can't make it up the stairs, the entire classroom has to relocate.
It's someone who has had a leg injury and crutches and has seen entire classrooms move from the upstairs to the downstairs simply because students can't make it upstairs. That will be greatly helpful.
Marion County School Board awarded Vanguard approximately $1 million for what school leaders say are much needed improvements.
This is a huge, huge deal for us.
Part of the upgrades include installing an elevator in Building 4. American Disabilities Act Project Director Barry Whaley says school buildings without an elevator can restrict students.
The lack of an elevator would prevent students with disabilities from having equality and interacting with their classmates.
Whaley says having an elevator will improve classroom accessibility.
Installing an elevator addresses full participation for those students.
Assistant Principal Luke Bender says an elevator will also help in other emergency situations. The construction of the elevator is expected to begin at the end of the school year. Live in the studio, Cassie DesVergers, WUFT News.
Bradford County firefighters are awaiting a new place to rest their heads. Crews are breaking ground on new living quarters for firefighters at Fire Rescue Station 10. Officials with the station are hosting a groundbreaking ceremony for the station, and that all gets underway Monday at 5 p.m. at 3979 Southeast 8th Avenue. And some Alachua County firefighters are getting ready to hold a housewarming. Fire Station 80 is moving just 10 minutes away from its current location at Southwest 43rd Street. Station officials say they are looking forward to working with the community in this facility to improve service. Alachua County Fire Rescue officials are hosting a grand opening for the new station. That's tomorrow morning at 10.
The GRU Authority Board members are making headway with the city to get some extra cash. The members are talking with Gainesville City Commissioners about possibly selling a 24-acre lot near Depot Park, which has sat untouched for years and was previously a power district. GRU Authority and city officials are ironing the details out about how a governance structure would work since GRU assumed control. This meeting marks the first time the past and present decision makers of GRU have met since the Authority Board have taken charge in October 2023. And coming up, high school and travel baseball players are in an epidemic. Tommy John surgeries among youth athletes are on the rise and show no signs of slowing down. WFT's Bradley Shimel spoke with players, doctors, and coaches, and when we return, he'll tell us what we can do to mitigate this issue.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. Young baseball players around the North Central Florida are facing rising injuries.
WFT's Bradley Shimel heard from players and health experts about how local athletes are making a comeback from Tommy John surgeries.
There's an epidemic amongst high school and travel baseball players. Young athletes are undergoing Tommy John surgeries at an astronomical rate. I spoke with players, doctors, coaches, and parents to see what could be done to mitigate this issue. Nowadays, Florida pitcher Ryan Slater is lighting up the college baseball world. But 3 years ago, his career was in a complete 180.
I was pitching a game, and then one pitch, I felt something go on in my elbow, and I knew it wasn't okay. But then going to the doctors and everything, they said it was just like a partial tear, so I could just rehab and everything, get it better. After like a year-long process of like rehabbing and getting back to throwing again, I'd always do the same thing again. It happened at least twice. So that once it happened that third time, like I felt that pop again. I was like, all right, it's probably not going to get better. It's time to get surgery.
Slater was one of hundreds of youth athletes to undergo Tommy John surgery, an arm procedure that can derail dreams. According to a public data set from 1971 to 2003, there were 7 known Tommy John surgeries performed on patients under 21 in the United States. From 2018 to 2023, there were 95 known surgeries, numbers that alarmed UF Health Chief of Sports Medicine Jason Zaremski.
There is a lot of overuse year-round throwing injuries, and these injuries aren't actually going down.
Zaremski believes that desire to increase velocity through specialized programs has contributed to the recent rise in arm injuries.
While we're maintaining pitch counts now, which is great, that from all the providers around the country that have been pushing this, but with the increase in velocity and increase in velocity quickly, I suspect that is contributing to the continued decrease in these overuse injuries in our adolescent and youth baseball and softball players for that matter.
Being mindful of the times, travel and high school coaches like Buchholz head coach Ron Brooks are taking extra precautions to protect their athletes. Having had Tommy John surgery himself, Brooks knows that communication is key in keeping players safe.
Players have pitching coaches, they have all different types of individual coaches. You also got to think about how much they're working out, how much they're training. So it's an ongoing process of communication about how much they're throwing, when they're throwing, where they're throwing.
Along with communication, Dr. Zaremski considers preparation to be just as important.
You have to do more than just pitch counts. It's preparation in the off season. It's not maybe necessarily doing too much, giving yourself a little bit of a break from your arm. The recommendations are no pitching for 3 to 4 months per 12-month period.
Since I've been to college, I've been introduced to more arm care. So like that's going in the training room every day, doing your shoulder exercises, doing your bands, getting your Normatec in, just doing anything to keep your arm in shape, really.
Rest is a huge factor. For your scheduled throw once a week, for 10 weeks straight, I think you should take the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks off, recovering your arms, making sure your body's healthy.
In addition to coaches, parents of youth athletes play a significant role in player safety.
When I got out of school, I never wanted to do homework again, but as a parent, you got to do homework. Make sure that you're asking questions, you're dealing with a coach that cares about the kid.
With arm injuries on the rise, prioritizing the health of players is more important now than ever before. Bradley Schimel, WUFT News.
I'm tracking our next storm system as it heads our way and what that will mean for your weekend. More information on the forecast after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
It's going to be another wet weekend here in Gainesville. We're actually expecting showers both Saturday and Sunday with the potential for some lightning on Saturday. Our temperatures are going to be warming up as well. 75 degrees on Saturday, 77 on Sunday. Now, as we take a look at our radar, we can see that we're seeing some cloud cover right now. Not quite any rain yet. Our clouds and our wind right now are dominated by that high pressure system. Wind comes around counterclockwise that system, and that's why we're so windy today. Now, tomorrow that's going to be changing. We had a cold front come through last night, and right now it's just sitting there. It's a stationary front, and it's going to be moving north tomorrow, and with it we're going to see our first rain on Friday. Now, as we get into Saturday, that stationary front's going to be farther north, and we're going to see some more rain, this time from another cold front that's going to be coming through on Saturday. as we go into Sunday, we're going to continue to see that rain coming from that storm system as it heads up into New England. Now, when we take a closer look at what's going to happen, we'll see scattered showers starting tomorrow. They're going to continue through Friday, continue to Saturday. It's not going to be one consistent shower. It's just going to be a little bit here, a little bit there. You might get it, you might not. We'll have to see. Now, it's going to continue through Sunday into Monday evening, and you might be wondering how much rainfall we're going to get. We're looking at about 1/4 of an inch here in Gainesville, a little bit more over on the coast over there. We take a look at our muggy meter. It's going to be quite humid as we go into the next couple days. We're measuring dew point, a measure of the moisture in the atmosphere. It's going to be in the 60s, quite humid and quite muggy. Not my favorite weather, but you know, spring is coming. And we're also going to see some pollen that's on its way. We're looking at high pollen counts tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. It's not quite going to be washed away by that rain, but you know, hopefully we'll see it later in the week. As we take a look at our 7-day outlook, we're going to continue to see rain through the next week. Almost every single day is going to get some kind of a rain, and our temperatures are also quite warm. We're looking at the 80s Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. As we get into next week, we're going to see some warm and wet temperatures before next weekend.
Coming up next in sports, the high school boys and girls basketball state championships take place tomorrow, and with plenty of representation from Alachua County. When we return, we'll be discussing the matchups for both the Williston boys and Hawthorne girls playoff games. Don't go anywhere.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome into another day in sports. I'm Miguel Molina. March Madness might be around the corner, but local high school basketball state championship season is underway. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., 27-2 Williston boys basketball will take on Chipley in the 1-8 state semifinals. Right after that, Hawthorne and Wildwood will clash in the girls basketball 1-8 state semifinals at 3 p.m. Both of these games will take place in Lakeland. Today is Leap Day, and for Gator basketball fans, that means we are less than 24 hours away from officially leaping the month of Madness, March Madness to be exact. But for Florida, they had a bit of a test in their last night when they took on Missouri. While the orange and blue came into this game as heavy favorites, this one turned into a surprising tight contest. Missouri was able to hang on for the most part, especially when Florida's leading scorer Walter Clayton Jr. fouled out with 14 minutes remaining in the game. Without their leading scorer, Mizzou would claw back from an 11-point deficit and bring it in within one. But have no fear, Tyrese Samuel is here, and boy did he make his presence felt. A career-high 28 points from Tyrese Samuel led the way for the Florida Gators as they defeated the Tigers 83-74. Florida secured their 20th regular season win of the season, the program's first since 2018, leaving head coach Todd Golden optimistic heading forward.
We can definitely still challenge for a top 4 seed at the tournament, which getting a double bye would be a great accomplishment for us in year 2. So I feel like we have a lot left, and with that being said, though, I'm really happy with where we are and what we've done to this point.
Gators men's basketball will next play on Saturday against number 18 South Carolina on the road. Tip-off is at noon. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Essentially, that is the mindset for the Gators women's basketball team as they head into their final road game tonight. After starting their season 10-3, Florida has struggled in the SEC by going 5-9 in conference play, most recently with a devastating 76-60 loss to University of Georgia on Sunday. But with an overall record of 14-12, the Orange and Blue will look to bounce back tonight in Tuscaloosa when they face Alabama. This will not be a walk in the park for the Gators as the Crimson Tide are 21-8 and currently sit at 5th in the conference. To get a boost of momentum into the SEC tournament, Florida will need to rely on their leading scorer Leilani Correa to light up the scoreboard against Alabama. This game tips off at 7 p.m. Switching over to the hardwood to the circle, the number 13 Gator softball team has a doubleheader tonight as they begin the Judy Garman Classic. In Game 1, Florida will play Cal State Fullerton. The Titans have been solid to start the season, but have cooled down with losses in their 3 of their last 4 games. First pitch for this game is scheduled for 8 p.m. One final note, happy birthday to Indiana Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton, and congratulations on turning 6 years old. Yes, that's right. The 24-year-old is technically 6 as he was born on Leap Day in the year 2000.
You know what, Miguel, I'm kind of getting to that age where I wish I was born on Leap Day and I could stop counting. I'm getting a little little too old. I kind of wish I could say I was 5 or something like that.
A little too old, Jacob.
Thank you, Caitlyn. And now to our final forecast from AG.
Now, it's going to be a leap day that transitions us into spring. We're looking at temperatures that are significantly warmer than what we've been seeing for the last couple weeks. Temperatures are going to be in the 80s next week with a lot of rain. What a wonderful week.
Thanks, AG. BBC News America is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.